As I get older, I start to understand people's perspective on things that I used to not. Like, I used to always question why people never went to the gym, but now that I get older and I work, full time and stuff like that, I kind of get why it's so much harder then. I start to understand like uh, their rationalization, and I fall victim to it sometimes, but this particular instance just really made me think about how most of life is just cope, and we just tell ourselves stories that in our heads that comfort us to, justify our bad habits, or justify, things that we shouldn't be doing. Even though in the back of our minds we know we shouldn't be doing these things, but yet we'll always find a way to cope with it in our head, and we'll say like let's say if it's drinking alcohol, well, all my friends do it. Or if it's like, oh, I watch porn, everyone else does it, my friends do it. Or skip the gym, oh, well, a few days won't hurt. Taking a day off won't hurt from the gym, taking 3 days off won't hurt. Cheating on my diet won't hurt. Cheating on my partner isn't that bad. We'll always find a way to take something that's not inherently good and then make it good in our own mind to protect us. And I think that might be some sort of like survival mechanism that we have in our brains. I can't fully explain that, but um, it's so interesting to see. Um, like so many people that are even older than me or my age that, and I'm so guilty of all this too. And let me keep reinforcing that of just the amount of cope that we have going on in this life, and just how many excuses we have. Um, like, because even for me, sometimes, like, uh, I don't, like, ever really skip the gym, but there has been maybe, like, one day where I did, and I remembered that day specifically. I used, like, soreness, that I was sore, as, like, a cope or a rationalization. And, like, you gotta keep in mind, like, I never skipped the gym ever, and I remember that one day I did. It was, like, a Friday. And I used that rationalization to enforce the fact that I didn't think I needed to go to the gym, so it gave me that sense of comfort of uh like it's okay to skip the gym, when in reality, like, is it, like, who's to say, is it not, no one really knows the truth. And I'd argue, it only comes down to your personal beliefs at that point. But for me personally, it wasn't okay, but I made it okay in the moment, and in my head I made it okay. But then when you look back on stuff like that, um, it really starts to compound and add up, and especially for like your health, your diet, drinking alcohol, going to the gym, smoking, stuff like that. Like, this cope and this rationalization will just add up. Like, at first it doesn't seem like anything, because like you could be in the best shape of your life, just amazing, amazing, look amazing, and then like you slip up one day, and then you kind of feel a little guilty, but then you're like, well, I've been working hard, so I've been working hard for weeks, months, years, so it's not that big of a deal. And then maybe you do it 2 days in a row, and then you stop and you get back on track, and then maybe you do it on the weekends, and then you start to do it every weekend, and then it starts to become almost an everyday thing. And this thing could be, like I just said, eating poorly, skipping the gym, smoking, all the terrible habits. Anyways, like, at first it will seem like it's not that big of a deal because you have that cope in the back of your mind, and you won't notice any probably really physical or mental changes up until maybe like a certain point. And then I think that you kind of have two choices of actually, like, finding the willpower to changing and realizing that you have been coping for the longest time, or you continue to keep on coping and rationalizing, and then before you know it, these days will turn into weeks, and these weeks will turn into months, and months into years, and you'll look back at like your old self, and you'll be like, what the hell happened? Like, you used to be in shape and now you're fat. You used to say you were never gonna drink, and now you drink every day or every weekend with your friends. Or, smoking is the exact same thing. Um, Stuff like that, and it really just is crazy because, like, if you look at someone who is just, like baseline or like just unhealthy, like you could probably look at that person and just like understand, for me anyways, like I could understand like where they're coming from and stuff, because like I just feel like when I look at that person, it's so much cope over years and years of just justifying. um Man, it's sad to see, because like I fall into this pit, so like a lot, like I'm making this video so I can look back on it, because I'm in like a season of that right now of just cope. um and it's really crazy to think about, like, because if you even think about, like, I remember watching like these videos of like these people asking, or this guy that I watch on YouTube, his name's Santa Cruz Medicinals. He'll go up to people and he'll ask people, like, he'll offer them $100 to quit smoking cigarettes or stop vaping or whatever. He'll just find people on the street that are doing those activities, and he'll say, "Hey, I'll give you $100 if you quit today." And 9 times out of 10, those people will actually, or they'll brush him off and say, "No, I'm too addicted." And uh, every time Santa Cruz Medicinals, his name's Brandon. I'll just call him Brandon or Brendan. He'll ask them. He'll say, "You know that those are bad for you, right?" And every single time they'll say yes. So that's how you know that those people are just coping with their bad habits and just trying to rationalize it. Because I bet most of those people, and what they'll say is, "Oh, I'm gonna die anyways." So that's their cope, or the rationalization right there is, "Oh, I'm gonna die anyway, so it doesn't really matter what I do." Or, "Oh, I'm so addicted, and there's just no point anymore." That's another one that I've heard, like, on those videos too. And it's just so interesting to me that, like, just how humans, just in general, I think it's a human survival instinct that will just cope so hard with like anything. It will always find a way to justify some sort of bad habit that we do. Obviously, we'll always find a way to justify good things, because I don't think that's a bad thing. But um, like, I don't know, like, it just is. It's interesting to think about. So like, if you're someone who like struggles with cope or justification of bad habits, let me know in the comments. But it's really just an interesting thing to think about, honestly. But I don't know if I'm going crazy or not, but let me know. Bye.